In this video, I'm going to explain how Big Pharma has permission to sell you fake medications where the label is mislabeled. Yes, they made a law, a loophole law, that allows Big Pharma to make something like ginseng, or other supplements like CBD, fake, and they still don't get in trouble. Now you might be thinking, mislabeling pills must be illegal. And there are laws against mislabeling products. But if you weren't born in the 90s, you might not believe me when I say there's fake pills. Because back in your time, like my father, he was spoiled. He came from a world where these things weren't allowed. My father was spoiled with a 40-hour work week that actually could pay his bills. My father was spoiled with worker rights. My father was spoiled with a system that actually worked. My father was spoiled with the fact that if somebody sold something and stuck a label on it and the label was fake back in his day, then they were arrested for mislabeling their products. So my father and those generations that were born in the 30s, 40s, 50s, they're just spoiled. They're spoiled with a world that was put together in a good way. But see, when the 80s came around, we have a different world today. The rich have destroyed and taken over our government. So there are things different today, but older people don't understand. Well, no, mislabeling is illegal, so that can't be true. Until you realize and you actually do the lab testing. Once when you do the lab testing, you're like, well, how could that be? Well, I'm going to explain how it could be. So you might be seeing on the news, or you might know yourself from taking them, that when you buy cheap supplements that are not lab tested, a lot of times they're completely fake. They're just jelly pills, like there's fake CBD or stuff like that out there. Now, there's a lot of fake medications that don't work. I would say about at least 50% of the supplements at Walgreens or CVS or the pharmacies are complete bullshit and do nothing. You have to go to an actual health store a lot of times to get vitamins and supplements that actually work, or make them yourself. Why is that? Well, here is why. There is a loophole law that states this: any supplement made after 1980 does not have to be lab tested. Okay? Does not have to be lab tested, meaning you do not have to know what is in it to sell it. So any supplement that did not exist before 1980 does not need to be lab tested. Now, why is that law so important? Why is that law such a loophole law? Because of this reason. Okay, let's say a big pharmaceutical company wants to make ginseng. But instead of making ginseng, all they really want to do is make money. That's all they really want to make. They don't want to make people better. They don't want to make medicine. They want to make money. So they find a way to make money without actually having to make medicine. So what they do is they take a little bit of herbs, like some green tea leaves, they grind it up with a little bit of sugar and some cornstarch. They put it in a capsule, and then they throw it into a bottle. Then they have a label made up that says ginseng, Indian ginseng, or Korean ginseng. And they have the label made up. They put it on the bottle. Now, what did they really put in there? Sugar, cornstarch, and green tea leaves. But what does the bottle say? The bottle says green tea leaves, ginger, sugar, cornstarch, and 200 or some milligram of ginseng. That's what the label says. But the pill actually contains just green tea, sugar, and cornstarch. But the label says ginseng, and a lot of people use ginseng as an energy and a stimulus to keep their mind awake without a crash. Has less horrible benefits to the caffeine. Now, I don't take ginseng. It's not one of my main components. But I have taken it before, and I've taken ones that don't do nothing, and I've taken ginseng that actually does something. If you get real ginseng, you can feel it work. You can feel like you drank a quarter cup of coffee for a couple hours. You can feel the difference. But if you take fake ginseng, you might ask yourself, did that work? Now, if you look on the news stories, I'm sure you can find one where they found fake ginseng on the shelves at pharmacies. Well, how does this work? Wouldn't they get caught selling fake ginseng? Well, let's say a news station catches the pharmacy selling fake ginseng. They buy a bottle, they bring it to a chemist to lab test it, and when they lab test it, they find only green tea and sugars in them. What does the government do when they find out pharmaceutical companies have been mislabeling their ginseng and selling the public fake pills? Nothing. They do it all the time. If you go to the pharmacy right now, there's fake pills. Because the pharmaceutical company will argue, oops, we didn't lab test the cheap ginseng. That's all right. We'll pull the bottle. So then they take the bottle of ginseng off of the shelf. They create a new label for it, and they stick the new label on it, and they put it back on the shelf. And then they just keep on telling the government, oops, we didn't lab test it. Oops, we didn't lab test it. So we had no idea. We must have put the ginseng in a different medication. Sorry about that. So they take it back. They put another label, but then they still sell the sugar pills. And then when the government finds that bottle, then they say, oops, we didn't lab test it. Sorry. And they take that one off the shelf. Then they put a new label on it, put it back on the shelf. Then when they get caught selling sugar pills again, then they say, oops, we didn't lab test it. Then they take that bottle off the shelf. They get a new label. They stick it on the bottle. They put it back on the shelf at the at the pharmacies. And then when they get caught again, then they go, oops, we didn't lab test it. And that is why having a big company like pharmaceutical companies lab test their products before they're sold on the shelf is so important. Because if they get caught having mistakes in their pills, they can blame it on, we never lab tested, we didn't know. And that is an excuse that big pharmaceutical companies use to continue selling sugar pills, but only through the supplement area. Because supplements in America, any supplement that was invented after 1980 does not have to be lab tested. And because it does not have to be lab tested, when they sell sugar pills and they get caught, they blame it on, we never did a lab test. And then all they have to do is take those pills off the shelf, put a new label on it that was not lab tested, and then they put that one on the shelf. Then when those get caught to be sugar pills, then they take those off the shelf. They put a new label on it. And then again, it goes on the shelf. And then when they get caught there, and every time it's the same excuse. Oh, we never lab tested, we didn't know. Oh, we never lab tested, we didn't know. And that's because there's a loophole in the system. Do you see how this loophole works now? It's like a game of whack-a-mole. As soon as you find something that is selling sugar pills, when you find 20 sugar pills on the shelf of any pharmaceutical, any pharmacy, even if you report it, all they're going to do is take those ones off the shelf, put a new label on it, and stick it back on the shelf. And then when they get caught again, then they're going to take those ones off the shelf, put a new label on it, put it back on the shelf. Then when they get caught again, they're going to take those ones off the shelf, take the label off of it, stick a new label on, put it on the shelf. Because they're not lab testing. They don't have to know what is in their pills. They can just say that they put it in there. And if it's not in there, then they can say, oops, and then they just have to take all the pills off the shelf and put them back on. But here is the other thing. The government doesn't go around testing for them. Nobody goes around but the news stations talking about this. It's not like we have a government agency going around trying to find the fake sugar pills that's being sold to the public. But it's a big problem in the United States. That a lot of the supplements, and more than half of them, in any pharmacy are just sugar pills. And that is why so many people think that supplements are all fake, because they're taking sugar pills and they're doing nothing. If you took the real supplements, if you take the real medicine, just like your your doctor might ask you to do, you will feel a change. You will get better. But if you take fake medicine at the pharmacy, of course it's not going to do anything. You just took a spoonful of sugar, that's all. That's all you took. If all you're doing is taking a spoonful of sugar, yeah, it's not going to help you. But see, you don't know that because you're looking at the bottle and you're seeing ginseng is going to give you energy, help your mind work. And then you take a pill and nothing happens, so you assume it's all this holistic medicine stuff is fake. All these supplements must not be real. You know, they were right. All this shit is bullshit. No. The pharmaceutical company that sold you that was bullshit. If you go get real ginseng, you will feel a difference. But see, a lot of the ginseng you buy is fake. The bottle will say it's real, but it's fake. And that's why you need to know somebody like me. Or you need to go into a health store or a natural place or a place that really is expensive. And it gets really expensive to buy supplements. People don't realize that if you try to save money getting your supplements, most likely you'll just get sugar. And the government is allowing this behavior. They're allowing big pharmaceutical companies to get away with selling the public fake pills. And the public has no idea this is going on, even when the news goes around lab testing and proving it to the public. And our government has not stepped in once. Every time one of these pharmaceutical companies gets caught selling sugar pills, what's happened over 100 times, they're not consequenced. All they have to do is they have to take those pills off the shelf, print out a new label, stick it on the new pills, and resell them again. And then those sugar pills, when they get caught, they have to take those ones off the shelf, take those labels off, and put a new label on those sugar pills and sell them again. But here's the problem. It is extremely hard for the pharmaceutical companies to get caught for anything. They have made so many laws protecting the big pharmaceutical companies that it takes a whole bunch of new journalists to get even one med taken off the shelf, one fake bottle. It takes a lot of work from the public to just get one fake supplement off the shelf. I'm not kidding. Even if we know, even if you lab test and you know those pills are fake and you report it, nothing will be done until you bring it to the news stations, and then the news stations lab test it, and then it runs on every station, and then eventually, after the government petitions and after a year of selling these fake pills goes by, finally they'll make them take them off. But they've already profited. They've already made $1 million on sugar, on selling sugar pills. So at that point, printing out a new label, sticking it on the bottle, and putting them back on the shelf, it doesn't matter. You're making millions off of a scam. That's all it is. It's a scam. These pharmaceutical companies are making fake supplements, selling them at the pharmaceutical companies like Walgreens and CVS, and then it's almost impossible for them to get caught because of the system we have invented. They're giving holistic medicine a bad name because, there's so much fake in that aisle that people don't understand why their medicine's not working. So they assume that holistic medicine must be fake, even though really it's the pill you're taking that is fake. You are buying stuff from a pharmaceutical company that does not have to be lab tested. That is why it's better to buy it from a health store where it's lab tested and you know your ingredients. But instead, a lot of people go to CVS, they pick up their supplements. The supplements don't work or do nothing, so they blame all holistic medicine. It all must be bullshit, what is not true. So, how do we stop playing this game of whack-a-mole? We need to stop the lobbying. We need to get rid of lobbying. As long as lobbyists from big pharma can give money to our politicians, they will never ever regulate these type of problems. I do not want to be sold sugar pills when I need my bay leaf tablets or charcoal tablets. I do not want to be ripped off. I do not need to be scammed by the pharmacies. And the fact that pharmacies are allowed to put fake labels on supplements because of a loophole that says they don't have to lab test. Just because there's a loophole that says you don't have to lab test your supplements doesn't mean you should be allowed to sell sugar pills. And then they say, oops, we never lab tested those ones. Okay, we'll pull the bottles off the shelf and we'll make new ones. And then they make new sugar pills. They put a new label on it. They put it back on the shelf, and then 10 years later they get caught again. So then they go, oops, we never lab tested them. They take the bottle off the shelf. They make new ones. They put it back. And it costs them nothing because they're only putting green tea leaves and sugar and cornstarch into these when they're supposed to be ginseng or something. You know, same thing with the CBD. They're supposed to be making CBD. Instead, they end up using hemp oil that has no CBD in it with a mixture of fish oil or cornstarch, or who knows what they're adding in. But when you do know, when these companies and these news stations go around bringing all these to labs, and you actually look at the lab test results, you notice a trend here. And of course, when you look at the way the laws are written, and when you take supplements, or if you're somebody into holistic medicine, or if you're somebody who makes their own holistic medicine, or if you've ever tried a plant and then you've tried a supplement, like if you ever tried a supplement that is real and then you tried a supplement from CVS, and they're supposed to be the same milligram, same thing. So let's say 500 milligrams of one supplement and then 500 milligrams of the same supplement, but lab tested from a health store. You will see a night and day difference, and this is why. People want to know why their supplements aren't doing nothing, why they don't work. Because you're buying them from a pharmacy. They're fake. If you want to buy supplements, you need to know, like me, how to get them, how to make them. I suggest you go to Esty and get the plant itself dried and grind it up and put it in the capsule yourself. A lot of times you can do that and just make your own supplements. You can buy 00 capsules. You can just use your coffee grinder and you can make your own supplements. I mean, it's not that hard to get dried ginseng. You can get dried ginseng, grind it in the coffee grinder, dose it out. You can go on Google, figure out what the right dosage is, put it into a capsule, and make your own bottle. Then you know it's real. Or you can go to a company like a health store online that guarantees lab testing. You can look at the lab test results, see how much ginseng is in it, order it, see if it works. If it does work, you want to stick to the companies you know are real. When you find a company that is lab testing and real, you should buy it. But only buy supplements from companies that lab test. And remember, just because a company lab tests at the pharmacy doesn't mean they're real. Remember, the pharmaceutical companies want to take advantage of you. They want to sell you 20 cents of sugar and charge you $2 for each one. They want to send you, actually, it'd probably be a penny. They want to put a penny of sugar in each pill and then sell you it for $2. That way they get a 200% increase in profits. Think about it. All they had to pay for was a penny for the sugar, a penny for the gel capsule, and they had to pay $1 for the bottle itself. And they're getting $2 a pill for 30 pills in the bottle, or whatever they're doing. It's $60 for this big ginseng bottle that's lab tested. You know, if they can try to make money off you, they are. Because these pharmaceutical companies, back in the day, in the 1920s, the 1950s, they were around to help the public. Their mission in life was to make a medicine that worked so that they could sell it and make millions. Because if there was a medicine that really worked, then they could make a lot of money. But then propaganda and a lot of fake news and advertisement got involved. And now today, in 2024, all they want to do is make money. So they're more than happy to scam you to make millions. Because the pharmaceutical companies, they're there not to make pills. They're there to make money. They're trying to turn nothing into something. That is what they're really trying to do. And you got to keep that in the back of your mind when shopping for supplements. And doctors are even worse. Remember that. This also goes for the big pharmaceutical prescriptions. A lot of prescriptions they're real all right, but they might give it to you when you really have nothing wrong with you. And instead of the prescriptions being fake, the doctors are coming up with fake diagnoses a lot of times. So when you go to get supplements, the supplements are fake. But when you go to the doctors, a lot of time the diagnoses are fake, but the pills are real. Because prescriptions are all real. They have to be. When it comes to prescriptions or OTCs, all those are 100% real because they're tested before they hit market. Now, sometimes there's a dud in the mix when it comes to prescriptions. You could get a dud or something that has the wrong mix, but most of the time they're all perfect and real. But who says that your doctor is right on your diagnosis? Who says your doctor isn't pushing mental illnesses so he can prescribe you a lot of antipsychotics? Who says your doctor isn't feeding into your mother's behavior because he doesn't know what really is going on, so he's just going to push pills? Because a lot of doctors have no idea how to even be a fucking doctor nowadays. A lot of the doctors I've seen well, I got a 36-year-old doctor that just started practicing 4 years ago. She has no clue how to do anything but write prescriptions. I have seen plenty of these doctors, young, and all they know how to do is write prescriptions nowadays. That's all they're teaching them. They're not teaching them how to give diagnoses anymore. They're just teaching how to write scripts and what pills are for this, and this pill is for that, and this pill is for that. So they're not treating the doctors to figure out, how do you figure out what's wrong with your patient so you know what pill to give them. Instead, they're teaching them, this pill goes with this, and this pill goes with this. Well, that's why I like older doctors. I look for doctors that are about to retire or look older for a good reason. They were brought up in a different way when they went to school. When they went to school in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was a little different. It wasn't great, but part of their job was to diagnose and figure out what's wrong with their patient. And then the pills come out and you treat. But see, a lot of the younger doctors today, the way they're teaching these younger doctors are, just throw pills at the problem. Take a wild guess and just give them a pill. They don't look into problems. They don't diagnose. They don't try to figure out what's wrong with you first. They just start throwing pills at the problem nowadays. So remember, you could get fake diagnoses or have the wrong pills when it comes to prescriptions. But the big problem with supplements is that they're actually fake pills. They actually have fake labels on the pills. And this is already known. The news stations, many of them have already, uncovered this many times. The government still doesn't do anything about it, though, because our government is lobbied. I mean, would you give up $200,000 a year from big pharma? If somebody was giving you $200,000 a year, and then somebody else said, you need to go tell them to stop it, and then you tell your guy giving you money, you need to stop doing this thing, and then they cut off the money, would you go do that again and again? No. That's the problem. Big pharma is giving our politicians money, but we need our politicians to regulate big pharma.